What's up, guys? Orcust God here from Team X3, giving you a deck profile on my November list for Orcust. So we're gonna jump right into it. I got 3 Gearsu here. Definitely the best Orcust monster. It's got to be. You get a dump and a level 1 token, which that token can be used with Link Karibo, and this is either just a free Galatea or a free Verte, depending on how you want to combo off. But yeah, this just gives so much free advantage that it's definitely earned the #1 title for the best main deck Orcust monster. Next, we got 3 Nightmare. A dump and an attack boost is just pretty good. I mean, when you have Babylon field and you have this, you could just banish to send whatever you need. You know, if you don't have Skeleton in Graveyard and you needed to get your Ding on field, this is definitely really good too. Also, when they attack and you just banish this to give your monster an attack boost, I think is a really good purpose for it. Next, we run 2 Skeleton. I love Skeleton. I actually thought about putting it at 3, just for the single fact that being able to special summon from your graveyard later in the game is just super strong. Especially when you could send Gearsu and then just special summon it off this to get more dumps. I think it's a really good card. Next, 1 World Wand. A lot of people were running 2 for the longest time, and I really think that's bad. Everybody's like, oh, well, if you draw it and then you discard 1 off of Nightmare, you get special summon from your hand. It's a free monster. But a lot of times it is just a unnecessary brick, and this whole version of this list is supposed to be just brick free. We're not trying to play any bricks at all. We're trying to get cards in the graveyard and trying to go against Dragoons. It's a very anti-Dragoon list, but 1 World Wand is all you need. And you can easily recycle it off Galatea multiple times. I do that every game that I play. I recycle this over and over and over, and it's live the majority of the time because I will always have a Nightmare in Graveyard. Next, I run a lot of extenders. I run a lot of dangers, so obviously the 2 Bigfoot and the 1 Thunderbird. This is a lot of interruption during your opponent's turn. Like I said, I run a lot of discard cards to try to get cards into the graveyard, and these all happen to have effects when they're discarded. So that is why I decided to run 2 Bigfoot for the discard pop. And also, if you happen to get these 2 on field or 2 Bigfoots on field, that is a free ding, I guess. So it's not too bad, but I mostly run it for the destruction effect. 1 Mothman, some more drawing and discarding, and then obviously the 3 basic dangers. There's a reason they're at 1, and it is just free advantage. You know, you'll always search 1 or get a draw. You'll special or you'll get a draw, or special or get a draw. You know, there's a reason these cards are at 1. The dangers, I think, in my opinion, are just super strong. They're borderline busted, in my opinion, because you either get a effect when you discard them or you get a free draw. So, and you get a free monster on board. 1 Armageddon Knight. Obviously, just sending cards to the graveyard is really good, and his effect is not once per turn. So there's been games very rarely, well, this will be my monster reborn target just to get another card in the graveyard. Next, I run 2 Silent Boots and 1 Ancient Cloak. So obviously the combo goes, you send this with Rusty, set a Fog Blade, and then you banish this to search this, get a free extender, another monster on board, banish this for another Fog Blade. And that's exactly what I would do if I had 2 Fog Blades, but I only have 1. But I still think this is good to run at 2, just so you always will have a target with Rusty no matter what. Because a lot of times you'll draw 1, and then the other one will be in the deck, and then you'll send Cloak, and then, you know, you want to try to utilize Rusty as much as possible, and then if you draw these 2, then Rusty's dead, or it's just, I don't know. You just want to try to get as much advantage off Rusty as possible. So that's why I run the 3. And then next I run 3 Nibiru. I actually think this card is trash. Obviously, it's a good card. You could board wipe your opponent. It does the same thing as Raw Spear Mode did when this card wasn't a thing. It's a great board wipe during your opponent's turn, which is super strong. But I don't know. I don't resolve this card much. It kind of just gets used to discard fodder. And then I draw another one, and I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I can't use this against this guy that activated zombie roll and flip rivalry on me. So it's just, I don't know. I have a love-hate relationship with that card. Next, we have our draw engine. So we run 3 allures and then 2 pupper up. I think pupper up is a super underrated card. Yes, you take damage, but you're able to discard 3 and draw 3, which is super strong. Yes, you do take 3k, up to 3k damage, but I mean, we aren't really scared of Dragoon killing us for game because we have lots of ways that we run in the main deck to get rid of Dragoon. So I'm not too worried about activating this and taking 3k damage, and then on their next turn they just summon Dragoon and pop 2 my monsters and burn me for game. I'm not too worried about that. I run multiple ways to get rid of Dragoon and to bait Dragoon out. So here's some ways we get rid of Dragoon. Super Poly. I think this card needs to be main decked at 3 in every deck. I think there is too many problematic cards in the format, mostly just being Dragoon, that you need to have an out. You need to be able to get rid of it, and Super Poly I think is the best way. And then I run 2 droplets. It's just you gotta have interruption, and it gives you discard so you can chain your danger effects off, and then you get the Orcust in the graveyard. It just seems like just more advantage. And then I run 2 Dark Ruler and more. Just more hate against Dragoon. It is a problematic card that we need to get over, and a lot of times we can't win against it. So that's why we have to run the main deck outs. And then obviously we run Dragoon as well. I mean, it is a problematic card, but it is also a super broken card, so we have to run it. And then next we run the 1 Babel. I didn't like this card for a while, and then I really liked it when Orcust were obviously like tier 1, tier 0. And then after Hardpower got hit, I kind of just stopped liking this card because obviously I couldn't do the whole field banish combo, and I was kind of just lost my love for this card. And then just recently I've actually started to really like this card again. Being able to ding on your opponent's turn and activate a lot of effects during your opponent's turn is super strong. 1 Foolish Burial. Obviously, just gets a free monster in the graveyard for you. 1 Monster Reborn. I don't know why every deck doesn't main deck this at 1. It is literally a free monster. For free, you get a monster. And then 1 Reinforced in the Army. Most of the time when I see Reinforced in the Army, I have Armageddon Knight in hand, so I'm pretty sure at this point this card's going to be cut for another danger, but I'm not too positive yet. And then next, obviously, we run the Phantom Knight cards. Again, another free extender monster, and then Fogblade. I would run another one, but I currently do not have one. But usually you run 2 Fogblade. And then, obviously, we run the 1 Crescendo. Time to get into the extra deck. I run 1 Link Rebo for the Girsu combo. And then 1 Verte also for the Girsu combo, or anytime you have 2 monsters on board to get Dragoon out. I honestly think this card is much stronger than Dragoon, in a sense that it is easier for people to go into Dragoon with this card. And what's the best way to explain this? So when you drop this down and you send Red Eyes Fusion, you do not get that clause with the whole special. You can't summon for the rest of the turn. Like, you can do your whole play and then drop this. But if you just have Red Eyes Fusion, you can just activate it, and then for the entire turn you cannot do anything except Red Eyes Fusion. This gets around that clause, and that's why I think this card is much stronger than Dragoon itself. Yes, Dragoon is a busted card, but I think this card alone itself being able to be splashed in any deck and getting around that no summon clause that Red Eyes Fusion has is very strong. And then 1 IP, more disruption on your opponent's turn with Unicorn. Obviously, we have to run that. And then one Barricade Blocker. A lot of people do not play this card anymore in Orcust, and I'm very surprised because obviously discarding a card out of your hand is kind of lackluster unless you're playing a deck that likes to stack up the graveyard. And I would rather make this and dump a dead Nightmare in my hand to make it live, and then this just goes towards Rusty. So I actually think this card is super worth playing this format just to clear up your hand and try to be most consistent as possible. We run 2 Galatea. Obviously, being able to recycle your monsters and get Babel set from the deck to get around Ash is super strong. We run 1 Longursu. This card, I don't know. I've always had a very iffy opinion about this card. There's a lot of times where I didn't run this card, and there's a lot of times I did run this card. The links aren't really strong right now because, Dragoon is a thing, and so is Dogmatica, and they really don't use the extra deck. Except Dragoon. So, and Invoke, they just bring out fusions, so nobody really link summons anymore. Nobody really gets problematic links on the board where I'm like, I have to get Longursu out, and I have to send it to the graveyard. That's just it's not really how it works anymore. And then we run 1 Rusty. Obviously, for the Phantom Knight combo, super strong. I don't understand why this card came back, but it is good, so we're going to play it. And then we run 1 Unicorn. Unicorn, being able to bounce a card on your opponent's turn is really good with IP. And then we run the 1 Access Code Talker. And then we run 2 Ding. I see people starting to cut Ding down to 1 now. I don't know why. Ding is obviously a very strong card, and in my opinion, the strongest Orcust card there is. It sends a card, or it can attach one. It can detach to protect. It does everything you would want a card to do, and it's so easy to get into, so easy, and it's so easy to keep bringing back, and it pairs very well with Dragoons, being able to bounce a card, and then you pop 2 cards. You can easily win games with just Dragoons and Ding. Next, we run the 1 Predaplant Link Monster for our Super Poly targets, and then Starving Venom. 2 very good cards. A lot of people don't realize that this card negates, and then this card steals effects and blows up boards and steals attack, and a lot of people just look at it for 1 Fusion Monster, 1 Dark Monster, 2 Dark Monsters, but they are actually pretty good. Pretty good cards. In my opinion, the best 2 cards to run right now. And then we won the 1 Dragoons. Alright, I just want to say thank you for watching, and like and subscribe.